I do want to point out the JEFS information is here. The civil JEFS training will begin in July, and we have a lot of information listed here. We have been electronically filing via JEFS for appellate cases since 2010, and for criminal cases in district, circuit, and family court since then as well. So we have a lot of users already using the system, and the system is available 7 days a week. All the availability hours are listed here. And so you will be able to file electronically for your civil cases starting in October. Every day of the week, including weekends and holidays, you will be able to file after the court has closed up until midnight every night, and early in the morning starting at approximately 4 a.m. when our system is back up. On Sunday, we do have regular maintenance, and so the system is available starting at noon until midnight on Sunday. In order to e-file, in addition to your JEFS account, you will need to have some basic systems on your computer. Your PC should have a Windows 7 or Mac OS 10 or higher operating system. Whichever browser you prefer to use, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Safari, we've listed the recommended versions here. And because the court rules require that the documents be filed in a PDF format, you will need to have the ability to either scan paper documents and convert them to a PDF, or your word processing software, WordPerfect, whichever software you prefer to use, has the capacity to convert your word processing documents to a PDF format. So those are the basic requirements that you will need for your computer. Of course, your computer will need to have internet access. You can use a computer in your office, home, mobile device. We have had filings from throughout the state as well as the mainland and overseas. So as long as you have these basic settings on your computer, laptop, you'll be able to file. So all of this information is listed here on the e-filing page. We also have resources for training, and it's a little further down. I wanted to point out this link. It's right above the JEFS help section that lists all of the contact information for the court. There's a link here called JEFS Training and Information. We list a lot of our old training videos. We have some training videos for specifically appellate cases and criminal cases. Some of these may not be relevant to your particular practice, but we do have them all listed here in case anyone needs a refresher on that area, or maybe you have a new staff person in your office that may need to get some video training on how to use the system. New videos specific to this JEFS101 review will be added, as well as videos for the civil training that will be added later. For those of you who don't like to view videos and prefer to read documentation, we also have our training manual listed here and some presentations on the different types of functionality for JEFS. We have a section for frequently asked questions. This is probably where we will add some FAQs related to our JEFS101 class. We have the court rules here, which we will go into more detail today, and some general information, how to scan to PDF, etc. The main section of the court rules that we will be covering today relate to the Hawaii Electronic Filing and Service Rules. We only have 12 rules in this section. I encourage all attorneys and their support staff to familiarize yourself with these rules. It does go through the scope of the rules, who's eligible to register, electronic signatures, and the content of the notice of electronic filing. So these 12 rules are going to become very important for you once you start electronic filing, and we will go over some of these in more detail today in our review. Okay, so far we've covered JEFS registration. Now we'll move on to the JEFS login and functions. From the e-filing page on the Judiciary website, the link at the very top is our login page for JEFS. You can click on that. This should look familiar because this is where you register for access. It's also where you would reset your password. So if you're like me and you have a lot of different user IDs and passwords, every once in a while you may forget. If you need to reset it, you can click it here. You will not need to contact the court. You can reset your password on your own. You just need to know your primary email address for your account, and you will need to be able to access that email. So you can put in your primary email address here, click on submit. The system will reset your password and email that information to you. And so logging in is very simple. You just need to know your web UID and your password. I will be logging into the test environment. So let me do that right now if I can remember my password. Click on login. When you first log in, you'll probably be prompted to update your password. You will not be required to change or update your password every quarter or every month, but it is best practice to go ahead and change that whenever you need to. Otherwise, once you log in, if your account has been activated by your organization administrator or by the court, you should see these 4 pods of information on your screen. The first one is submit case filing. We will be doing a demonstration on how to submit filing on an existing case today. The second one is my case view. I will demonstrate how to use the manage cases link. User administration is below. This is where you can manage your profile by updating your contact information. Say your address changes, your phone number changes, you have a new email address that you want to associate to your account, you can update that information here. If you are an organization administrator for your law office, you will see an organization administrator link here as well. I do want to say a few things about document subscriptions because we do get a lot of questions about this. Document subscriptions are not required for electronic filing. A document subscription with the Hawaii State Judiciary will allow the subscriber unlimited downloads to all of the public information, public documents, and public cases that are available in JEFS. This is something that a lot of media groups, insurance companies, research companies, private individuals may be interested in. All you need is an email address and a credit or debit card to purchase a subscription for a quarter or a year. It will allow you to view all of that information as long as it's a public document, public case, and have unlimited download privileges. This is something that is not required for electronic filing. Electronic filing via JEFS is a free service, and attorneys who are filing on their active cases will be able to access all of the filings on their active cases here through managed cases at no charge. Once a case has been closed, We do have a 90-day period in which electronic filing can still occur. Say if you have post-judgment motions, attorney fees, those kinds of things that you need to file, you will still be able to access the information and file on those closed cases. But after 90 days, that access will be ended. And the only way you'll be able to access that information is either to purchase a single document through our system, or if you have a document subscription, you can access that. And so for attorneys, you may want to download and save your filed documents while your case is active so that you can retain access to that even after the case is closed. So we will go over managed cases through Case View today. Okay. So I will show you how to submit filing on existing case. We will not cover create case today. This is something that will be covered more in depth in the civil training. The civil training will be, I think, 3.5 hours long. Classes will begin in July. And so create case or initiate a case through JEFS will be covered more in depth in that class. For today's overview, we will click on Submit Filing on Existing Case. You will need to know your case ID. If you don't know your case ID or you wrote it down wrong, we will show you how to do an advanced search for your case ID in the civil training class. So for today, I am going to enter in an ICA appeal case. We have a number of sections that are available on the screen for you to view, and each section has these arrows, up and down arrows, so that you can collapse or expand that section. For a lot of our appellate and civil cases, we have many parties, and so if this section ends up being too long and you prefer not to have to scroll down, this is an area where you could collapse that section so that you can go right to the documents information section at the bottom. This is where you would be entering in information about your filing and uploading your PDF document. Document category and document type relate exactly to the docket code and description that are listed on the docket for your case. And so the categories are listed here in such a way that it will limit the document type options on the drop-down menu so that the list is not too long. So for example, if I click on notice, I have a few options here. If I click on motion, I have a few options here. Now in JEFS, we'll have a number of different kinds of fields. These are fields that have a list of values drop-down menu. For some of the document category and document type fields for different case types, we'll have something called auto-suggest or auto-match, where you'll need to start to type in the name of your category and the system will match you to a value that is a possible match rather than giving a drop-down. We also have some fields like this notes area here, which is freeform text. Oops. There's no self-correct there, or autocorrect. You'll have to do that yourself. And you'll be able to add some notes. So for example, if your motion has a title which doesn't match anything that's already listed, you'll be able to pick a generic document type, and you can type in the notes section the entire title. You could copy paste it from your document, or you can type it in. Similar to the registration, any of the fields that have an asterisk will be required, and any fields that don't will be optional. So you will need to select the filing party or parties. You'll need to click on the green plus button, and this will allow you to make multiple selections for your filing parties. Anytime we have a list of selections, you will see a red minus button, which will allow you to self-correct. Say if you make the incorrect selection and then realize that, and you can make that correction yourself. In response to or supporting document 4 will assist the court in knowing exactly what your filing is related to. It will list all of the previous filings with a date. And so if you're filing a response brief in response to a particular brief, you can select that from the list here, and that will assist the court in managing your case. It is not required though, so you do not have to enter that information in. Once you've selected your document category and document type, selected your filing party or parties, you will need to attach your document. So at this point, I'm going to click on Browse, and your PDF document should be ready. This is where having a good system or methodology for naming your documents and organizing them in folders or shared drives so that you know exactly where it is becomes very important. If you have a naming convention that makes it very difficult for you to select the right document, this is where you may need to revise your system and maybe start thinking about a way to organize your documents in a way that's going to make it easier for you to do your electronic filing. The documents have to be in a PDF format. So if you try to file anything in a non-PDF format, you will see an error message. The PDF format is required under the court rules, and the file size should not exceed 10 megabytes. That does not pertain to any particular length of document. So for example, we do have some record on appeal documents with 700 or 800 pages, which are less than 10 megabytes because they're text-only files. And so depending on the content of your document, if your document has scanned color photographs, detailed graphs, maps, or anything with a lot of pixels, you may need to reduce the size of your document, compress it, or split your document in some way so that you can comply with the rules in terms of the file size. Once you've selected your PDF, click on Open and upload your file. Your name document will be listed here next to the Attached Document field. If you see at this point that you did select the wrong one, you can click on the red minus button to remove that and try again. So you do have the opportunity to self-correct. So we do ask that you be careful, especially in the beginning as you're getting used to the system, that you make sure that you made the right selections that you want. The notes field is optional unless you select a document category or type that is other. It's so generic that we will require you to give some description of your file document in the notes. Otherwise, the notes are optional. Freeform text field. You can click on Add. You'll see that the file document is listed here. Again, if at this point you realize that, oh, this is the wrong case, this is the wrong document type, you can remove this and add the correct one. You can file more than one document with a single filing as long as it's for the same case. So for example here, I'm going to file a motion with a supporting document of an exhibit. I'm going to use the same PDF because that is my test document. So this number here on the far left relates to the docket sequence number. So I'll know that for this particular case, I have 62 dockets for that case, and this motion and the accompanying exhibit will be docket sequence number 63 and 64. These checkboxes here will allow you to select which one is your lead document. You can have more than one lead document in your filing. You can also select at this time if the document should be in camera, and that means restricted only to the judge on the case. Court staff, other judges, the public, other parties on this case will not have access to this document. If the document is sealed, that means that the document is restricted. The public will not be able to view it or purchase it online. Court staff without the correct security privileges will not be able to see it. The other parties on the case will have access to the document, as well as the judge and the judge's staff. So you do want to be careful about selecting the right choice here. You will want to refer to the court rules to further define what these selections mean. And so if you're filing your motion and the accompanying document, in this case an exhibit, should not be available to the public, but it should be available to the other parties on the case, then you can click on sealed here, and this document will be sealed. The public will be able to view the motion, but not the exhibit. You can file multiple documents for the same case at the same time, and you will have a single notice of electronic filing. Once everything is correct, you can click on submit, and this is when your documents are filed. At this point, you cannot undo what you've just done. The electronic file stamp will be applied to the PDFs with the system date and time. The system date and time is listed here on your confirmation screen. It will show you your case ID, date and time for the filing, who filed it, what was filed, and who the information was sent to. So all of the parties on the case that have a JEFS account, all of the attorneys, and in this case a court reporter, will receive an email notification of the filing. All of this information will be converted to a PDF document that is also filed in the case. If you want to save a record of this confirmation page, you can click on the printable view. It'll generate a PDF that you can save. Otherwise, the notice of electronic filing will be docketed in the case in addition to the two things that you filed here. When you're done, you can click on the close button and you're back at the home page, and you can file something else. At this point, we're going to move on to My Case View, and this is where you'll be able to access all of the information for your cases as long as they're active or within 90 days after the last filing. You'll be able to access all of the filed documents on the case that have been filed electronically. Click on Manage Cases. You'll notice that there are 4 different selections here at the top. You can select these by clicking on the radio button for that section. For attorneys, the My Cases selection will allow you to see all of the cases that you are representing, any parties on that case. So I click on Appeal. I'll be able to see the 2 appeal cases that I'm working on. You can also search for your case under My Cases by typing in the case ID. And if you have a lot of cases in your practice, you'll also be able to limit your search based on a filing start and end date. But for my test attorney today, she has 2 active cases in the ICA. So I just added my case type for appeal, and these 2 showed up. So I'm going to click on the case that I've been working on today as a sample. This view is very similar to the submit filing on existing case because you'll have groups of information that you can collapse or expand using these arrows. And here we have all of the parties on the case, all of the dockets on the case, and at the bottom all of the documents on the case. So at the far left you'll see the PDF icon, and that will allow you to open that document and view it. It should have the electronic file stamp on it. And then here at the bottom, you can see that some of my documents are missing, and these are the test documents that I've been doing as part of the review session. So we are in the test environment, so we don't have the ability to upload the test documents, so they're blank right now. But generally speaking, it should only take a few minutes for your document to upload to the system. So within a few minutes, you should be able to go back to Manage Cases and access your filed document with the electronic file stamp. So let me open a sample NEF for you to see. The NEF is the Notice of Electronic Filing, and this is docket on the case, so you notice that it's got the electronic file stamp. So this is something that you'll be able to access from Managed Cases after the filing has been completed. You'll be able to access not just the documents that you filed, but documents that all of the parties have filed, as well as the court. As long as the document is not in camera, and that will be marked with a check here at the far right. In-camera documents, again as a reminder, are only available to the judge on that case. Other judges, court staff, other parties on the case, and the public will not be able to access that. So here you have your docket sequence, description of what was filed, the date that it was filed, whether or not the document is sealed or in camera, and then you'll be able to access all of your documents from here. If at this time you decide that you also need to file something, there will be an Add button here at the bottom, and that will take you to the Submit Filing on Existing Case screen. Click on Home and go back to Manage Cases. So that is the My Cases radio button. My Documents will allow you to view all of the filings for multiple cases within a date range. So this will be helpful to attorneys that have a lot of active cases that you're working on. And this is also helpful for you to sort of manage the things that are being filed, especially if they're being filed by the other parties or the court. So you don't need to do a search on a case ID. You can do a search on a date range. So this is where it becomes very helpful. Let's see. I'm going to go back to January. Let's say January to May for my appeal cases. So from here I'll be able to see all of the things that have been filed electronically for my cases. These are my documents for a range of dates for my appeal cases, and it shows me all of the things that were filed with a link to the PDF. Say if I wanted only a specific type of filing, I can also filter this by a docket code. Say if I only wanted to look for the record on appeal filings for that date range for this case type, I can do that. We have had some attorneys who are very keen to track all of their notice of electronic filing. So that's another type of docket that you can filter for. So any docket you can filter, but you will need to specify which search parameters you need for your My Documents. So that's another way that you can access your information. For attorneys who belong to a firm, you'll also be able to use all firm cases and all firm documents. The test attorney that I'm using today does not belong to a firm, so I won't be able to demonstrate that today. But say for example, attorney 1 has 5 cases, attorney 2 has 2 cases, and attorney 3 has 1 case. If all of you belong to the same firm, then when you click on all firm cases, you'll have access to all 8 of those cases. So if any of those attorneys 1, 2, and 3 log in, they'll have access to all of the firm cases from here, as well as all of the firm documents. But again, firm documents should have a date range. So depending on your law practice, you may be able to use all of these radio buttons. If you don't belong to a firm, then you'll be using My Cases or My Documents. Once you're done with your search, you can click on Reset and do another search. If you're done accessing your information, you can click on Home. From here, you can submit filing on existing case, create new cases, manage cases, update your contact information, and access a subscription if you have one. You do not need one in order to file electronically. And when you're done, I recommend that you do log out to prevent another person from using your account to do filing. And you're done. At this point, do we have any questions? Okay. I don't hear any questions or see any questions on the chat. Do we have anybody on the call that has a question? Nope. Sounds like we have somebody who's typing a lot. Okay. So unless we have any questions, I'm going to go back to the electronic filing rules.
Excuse me.
Yes, you have a question.
Yes, if there's a pro se filer, we won't be able to access their documents.
Self-represented parties may register for a JEFS account. They have to be approved by the court in order to do that. That's allowed under the rules. So if they are allowed to file electronically, then their documents will be in the system. If a self-represented party does not do that and files conventional documents, paper over the counter, then the court staff will scan that document and file it electronically from within our system, and that will be available to the parties. So that type of filing will be docketed in the system, and a notice of electronic filing will be emailed to the attorneys and other JEFS account holders, and you will be able to view it from JEFS. Whether or not you're going to be able to view it right away will depend on the court, because operationally the court staff will need to scan that document, and at this point we're not sure if they will be able to scan the document on the same business day or not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. I do want to go over a few of the court rules that I think are especially important. So I'm going to go back to the Hawaii State Judiciary website, and you can access the court rules through the legal references menu or from the e-filing page under JEFS training and information. We have links to all of the what we think are the most important court rules, including the Hawaii Electronic Filing and Service Rules. So I do want to point out that Rule 1 defines all of the terms that we're using in the rules. Conventional service, lead document, PDF, for example. I also want to point out under Rule 4.1 that we do have the ability to have your assistant or staff members register for their own JEFS account so that they can file on behalf of the attorney in their office. Of course, the attorney's information will be on the document, but the actual filing within JEFS can be done by support staff. And then self-represented parties may also register for an account subject to approval by the court. We have rules related to signatures, as well as service. We go through more details on the sealed and in-camera documents. Under Rule 8, there's some details on submission of proposed orders, findings of fact, etc. I do also want to point out Rule 10. In case of a technical failure, filers will be able to seek relief from the court. And so since we started electronically filing for appellate cases in 2010 and criminal cases for district, circuit, and family, we have had a few instances where we had a server failure or a statewide network failure. In those instances, the court did extend deadlines for filers. Technical failures, however, will not extend to an attorney who is having a computer problem that day, problems with their own network, inability to file because the document format was incorrect or the document file size exceeded the rule. And so this is where I'd encourage all of you, especially for first-time filers, when you first start filing, you may want to make sure that you've given yourself adequate time to meet your filing deadlines, and that you may want to make your filing done during business hours so that you can contact the court should you see any error messages, have any problems with the upload, any problems selecting your document type. Certainly if you make a mistake and upload the wrong document to the wrong case, or you use the incorrect parties or document type, for example, if you can do that, well, it's hard to predict when you're going to make an error, but if you can do the filing during business hours, that may make it easier for you to contact the court right away and address those errors. But certainly, once you become familiar with the system and become comfortable electronically filing, then certainly you can file at any time during the JEFS available hours. So basically from 4 a.m. to midnight, every day, Monday through Saturday, and from noon to midnight on Sunday. And so hopefully with an extension of the number of hours in the day in which you can file, you shouldn't have any problem meeting your filing deadlines. But definitely if there is a technical failure of some kind, our servers are down, network is down. In the past, the court has extended deadlines in case of a technical failure. Luckily, this hasn't happened frequently, and it has not happened recently. The last rule that I want to point out is the last one, Rule 12. This does dictate the content of the notice of electronic filing. This is the bare minimum. And so you may notice that some of the NEFs will have additional information, but this is the bare minimum that has to be included on your notice of electronic filing. So in addition to the email that you receive, You will see this information on your confirmation page after you've filed. You'll see this information in the email, and you will see the information on the notice of electronic filing document that's docketed in that case. I just wanted to point out the rules here for you. Certainly familiarize yourself with the rules. And again, we have a lot of resources on the judiciary website. We will have a recording of this review listed shortly. I'm not sure exactly when, but we do have some older videos that are available as well as training documents. And all of these resources are available online. Any questions about the resources or the videos, the court rules? No? Great. Any questions about the system itself or about the training schedule? Any questions? Great. So with that, we can conclude today's review session a little bit early. So thank you all for your time and attention. We will be having additional review sessions in July, possibly in August. And so that information will be posted on the judiciary website, as well as an edited version of our video of today's class. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.